And I think the next 2 weeks are going to flip this thing on its head because SVG is going to skyrocket. He's going to go. We assume he performs like he has been performing. He's going to get to the top 10 or close to it at least. Then it's going to be how much does he bleed back from there. For me, if I was picking 3 guys right now, you mentioned Preece. I feel like he's like I think looking at speed right now, SVG I think gets in because he's going to build such a gap on the cut line the next 2 weeks, and he's not going to bleed as much as he has in the past because we've seen the last month or so he's been much better on ovals.
Yeah, but if something happens like yesterday,
shit could happen. But if just based on speed, the thing that worries me, I want to put Erik in there, and I think he has a speed. Again, he's a buddy of mine. I want to see him do well, and I want to see him make this playoff because he deserves it. But he's going to bleed the next 2 weeks a little bit. And now when you bleed the next 2 weeks, now we go to Chicago, and you're going to be digging your way out of Group 1 qualifying, Group 1 practice, early qualifying probably.
Yep.
Now can you regain the momentum you've got right now?
And that's what helped Shane for a couple of weeks after the road course, right? He got into the second group of qualifying, qualified up front, ran up front, and they can do their own thing. Right. Now they're struggling again because they gradually work their way back into.
They're gonna reset.
But if you look, Freddie, really the only guy in that block of the points that really is a pretty good road racer is Cindric, right?
Yeah.
So and
listen, like you just mentioned, McDowell's going to make up ground here. He's going to make up ground the next 2 weeks, and he's going to close this gap. I think as long as they perform like they do, Lambo. He's one of the best road racers out there.
Right.
So now if he puts himself back in the mix and then has the speed that the 7 and 77 have. He's right back in the mix as well. There's for me like what I think I'm going to pick SVG and Erik to be the first 2 spots, and then you're splitting hairs between. I think it's going to come down to Cindric, Preece, and McDowell. I wanted to put Brad in there, but he said that dumb shit outside the care center yesterday, so I'm going to disqualify him today. Keselowski. But we're going to short tracks. A lot of short tracks coming up. Iowa's, the Wilkesboro, Loudon. I think that kind of leans in Ryan's favor a little bit where he can – because Ryan's had speed. He just keeps getting essentially the last month.
Yeah, but the last 3, 4, 5 weeks he hasn't been as an organization. They haven't been as strong as they were in the beginning of the year. It's like I'm also looking at who's going to bleed. Like, is Hocevar going to bleed big the next 2 weeks?
I just don't see him bleeding that much.
Like, who else is going to bleed? Like Erik is going to struggle. Erik is going to bleed. He's
take a shot every time they say bleed.
Yeah,
Bubba's. We're not going to. Bubba has gotten much better, but we're not going to be able to hold Shane off.
No,
you know what I mean?
No.
So it's just going to be how close can you stay to these guys? So when we get back to oval racing,
execution, no mistakes, man, is going to help that block.
Who would you pick if you had to pick 3 of these guys?
Looking at it earlier, I feel like that SVG is obviously going to take a huge bump up in the next 2 weeks. He's going to be hard, even if he bleeds. There you go. Even if he loses some for the final 8 weeks, I feel like he's going to be in a good spot. I actually had SVG, Erik, and Cindric as my 3, and I don't think it changes, honestly. McDowell is one of the outliers because of the 2 road courses, and Preece, obviously, with his short track stuff. I just don't know that you can trust the teams that are around them right now, honestly. I think the drivers are capable, but I'm not trusting what I see speed-wise out of both of them. So
yeah, I agree. For me, like, Cindric is so hard because he is never flashy, but he figures out a way to get a good enough finish. You know what I mean? Like, he finishes those 15ths, and that's, if you can – and
he's going to be good on the road courses, and Atlanta and Daytona he's going to be good on.
And we haven't even talked about Logano being a disappointment.
Yeah,
where should he be? Right?
Yeah. The Fords right now are struggling, and they got to figure it out. But we're going to these short tracks. They've been better. I feel like they in the past at least. That's kind of where they've turned it around and made up some of the ground. So, it's going to be fun to watch because it's going to be fun to see how high SVG gets. And then how much does he have to give back, if at all, because we've talked about how much better he is.
Right.
And then how many guys can struggle on the road courses and then kind of climb their way back up. So it'll be fun to watch over these next 3 or 4 weeks for sure.